Hey guys, Bong here, and look, I'm not gonna lie, today's topic is a tough one. We're talking about bullying in South Africa, and specifically the tragic cases of young lives lost. It's heavy stuff, but it's a conversation we need to have. Because these aren't just headlines, these are kids, just like many of you, who felt like they had nowhere else to turn. Imagine being so broken, so utterly hopeless that taking your own life seems like the only way out. That's the reality for far too many young South Africans. Now I know some people think bullying is just kids being kids, right? A little teasing here, a bit of name-calling there. But let me tell you, words have power. They can cut deep, man. And when those words are coupled with physical violence or the relentless torment of cyberbullying, it leaves scars, invisible scars that run deep into the soul. This isn't about being soft or overly sensitive. This is about creating environments where young people feel safe, supported, and respected. Schools should be places of learning, of growth, of making friends and discovering who you are, not battlegrounds where you fear for your safety and your sanity. It's time we stop turning a blind eye to this issue and start taking real action. This is Lufuno Mavhunga, 15 years old, full of life, full of dreams. She was a grade 10 student at Imbilwi Secondary School, just an ordinary girl trying to navigate the ups and downs of teenage life. But for Lufuno, things took a dark turn. A video of her being brutally assaulted by another student went viral, shared over and over again on social media. Can you imagine the humiliation, the shame, the feeling of being utterly powerless? Lufuno couldn't take it anymore. The pain, the humiliation was too much. She chose to end her own life. This bright young woman, robbed of her future because of the cruelty of others. Her story sent shockwaves through South Africa, a stark reminder of the devastating consequences of bullying. But Lufuno's story, as tragic as it is not an isolated incident. October 2023, Diepsloot Secondary School. Two grade 12 students, on the cusp of adulthood, their whole lives ahead of them, decided to end it all. They were just weeks away from their final exams, from stepping out into the world and chasing their dreams. One of the students, we learned, had been subjected to relentless bullying. Can you imagine the pressure these kids were under? The academic stress, the uncertainty of the future, and on top of that, the constant torment. The feeling of being trapped with nowhere to turn. This is what happens when we ignore the cries for help, when we dismiss bullying as a harmless rite of passage. Sibusiso Mbatha, a grade 6 learner at Kile Primary School in Thokoza. Think about that for a second, grade 6. Most kids that age are worried about what snacks they have in their lunchboxes, not contemplating ending their lives. But Sibusiso was different. He was bullied, taunted mercilessly for who he was. And the worst part? The bullying reportedly came from a teacher, someone who was supposed to protect him, to guide him, to nurture his young mind. Imagine being told to quit gayism by the very person entrusted with your education. The betrayal, the confusion, the utter despair. Sibusiso's story is a stark reminder that bullying can come from anywhere, even from those we should be able to trust. Mbali Malaba was just 13 years old, a grade 7 learner at Volindlela Primary School in Harrismith. Her mother found her lifeless body, a note clutched in her hand, detailing the unbearable pain she'd been enduring. The bullying at school had become too much, driving her to take her own life. 13 years old. Think about the life that was stolen, the potential that was extinguished, and for what? Because some kids thought it was okay to torment someone until they broke? Because no one noticed her silent cries for help? Mbali's story is a gut-wrenching reminder that bullying can have fatal consequences, leaving families shattered and communities heartbroken. Joseph Maimela was 20 years old, a grade 12 learner at Cabo Secondary School. He was on the verge of graduating, ready to take on the world, full of hopes and dreams. But the alleged bullying he faced at school became too much to bear. Joseph, like so many others, saw suicide as the only way out of the darkness that had enveloped him. It's easy to look at these stories and think, this will never happen to me, or my child would never do something like that. But the reality is, bullying doesn't discriminate. It can happen to anyone, anywhere, regardless of age, race, or social status. Andiswa Chia, a 17-year-old grade 9 pupil at Sonyeongwana High School, was found hanging by her uncle. She left a suicide note, a heartbreaking message detailing the relentless bullying she'd endured at school. They called her names, mocked her appearance, made her feel worthless. Imagine being so tormented, so broken that you see no other option but to end your own life. Andiswa's story, like so many others, highlights the devastating impact of verbal abuse. Words have power. They can uplift, inspire, and heal, but they can also tear down, destroy, and kill. We need to teach our children to use their words wisely, to be kind, compassionate, and empathetic. This is the story of a 13-year-old girl from Pretoria, a young girl whose life was cut tragically short by the cruelty of cyberbullying. A photograph of her was circulated on WhatsApp, shared and reshared, becoming fuel for mockery and ridicule. She was just a child, thrust into the harsh spotlight of social media, subjected to a level of humiliation no one, especially not a child, should ever have to endure. What's even more heartbreaking is that this young girl sought help. She reached out to her teachers, hoping for support, for guidance, for a way out of the nightmare she was living, but it wasn't enough. Her story is a stark reminder that bullying can have devastating consequences both online and offline. Tragically, Mbilwi Secondary School, the same school Lufuno Mavunga attended, was once again rocked by a student suicide. This time, it was a grade 10 pupil who reportedly took her own life after a video of her being bullied by fellow pupils went viral. Can you imagine the pain, the humiliation, the feeling of utter helplessness that would drive someone to such a desperate act? This incident, so soon after Lufuno's death, underscores the urgent need for systemic change. It's not enough to simply address individual cases of bullying. We need to create a culture of respect, empathy, and kindness in our schools, a culture where bullying is not tolerated in any form. This is the story of a grade 12 pupil from Umkele Secondary School in the Pinetown district. She had just written her isiZulu Paper 1 exam, a crucial step towards her future. But instead of celebrating her accomplishment, she took her own life. While the exact reasons are unknown, it's believed that exam-related stress, possibly compounded by bullying, may have contributed to her tragic decision. This case highlights the immense pressure our young people are under. The academic pressure to succeed, the social pressure to fit in, and for some, the added burden of bullying can create a toxic mix that can have devastating consequences. We need to do more to support our children, to provide them with the tools and resources they need to navigate the challenges of adolescence. This is the story of an 11-year-old grade 5 pupil from Anzac Primary School in Brakpan. She took her own life after being reprimanded by her parents for allegedly stealing 300 rand. While the immediate cause of her suicide appeared to be the parental reprimand, it's believed that underlying issues such as bullying may have played a significant role. This tragic case highlights the hidden scars of bullying. Bullying doesn't always manifest in physical bruises or outward signs of distress. It can leave deep emotional scars, eroding a child's self-esteem, making them feel worthless, hopeless, and alone. Look, these stories are heartbreaking. It's easy to feel overwhelmed, to feel like there's nothing we can do to stop this epidemic of bullying. But that's simply not true. Silence only protects the bullies. We need to talk about this issue openly and honestly. We need to listen to our children, to believe them, and to support them. If you or someone you know is struggling, please reach out for help. The South African Depression and Anxiety Group, SADAG, has a 24-hour helpline at 0800 567 567. You can also contact Childline at 116. Remember, every single one of us has a role to play in creating a society where bullying is not tolerated, where young people feel safe, valued, and respected, Let's honor the memories of Lufuno, Sibusiso, Mbali, Joseph, Andiswa, and all the other victims of bullying by taking action. Let's teach our children empathy, kindness, and respect. Let's create a world where every child feels loved, supported, and empowered to reach their full potential. This isn't just about protecting our children, it's about building a better future for everyone. Because a world without bullying is a world full of hope, a world where every child has the chance to shine.